Afternoon, folks. So I had my first week off at home, and I spent the week not really thinking about work too much. But now I'm going into my next week on, so I'm driving up to Rayville, Louisiana to dive into that. When I left, there was a major mess up with the ROs. I don't know that anybody did anything wrong other than just we're still figuring out all the parameters and how exactly this thing's going to work with the constituents that are coming out of the wells. But they got to the point that the people believed that the people setting up the RO skids believed that they were scaled up, and so the questions were coming around about did we put in too much anti-scaling or not enough anti-scaling. The cartridge filters were pretty clogged up, so we were down for the last 2 days. I was on shift while they were working on them and running CIPs and trying to figure out what the next steps were. And I just got off the phone with somebody that's up there today and was asking them, what am I driving into? And they said that they had ordered a bunch of new cartridge filters and that the membranes are supposed to be in tomorrow. So hopefully in the next day or so, they'll have this thing back up and running like it's supposed to. There's a question about the programming and if the programming was set a little too high, meaning that it had the concentrate was a little bit too high. None of these things are big deals. It's just the stuff you have to figure out when you're bringing a new piece of equipment online, and how is it working with the inputs and outputs, and do we have all our dosings right? So should be interesting. Hopefully we'll learn more and have this sucker operational soon. I guess that's really all the update that I have for you right now. I do want to talk about when I started this video series, I told myself that I wanted to do some pieces on education for the general public, what water and wastewater operators do day in and day out. I thought we'd start somewhere simple, and let's start talking about a water meter. The water meter at your house out in the front yard. Pretty simple device. You've got a bunch of different styles of meters. You've got little turbine meters, which means it actually has a little propeller in it. You've got a nutating disc, which is a flat round disc with a ball in the center, and it wobbles on that ball when the water passes through it. You've got electrical meters that have two little probes inside the pipe that it's measuring the water molecules passing across the little probes. Those are fully electric. Personally, I like the nutating disc, the old wobbly disc. I've used them a bunch. They work really well. They don't get clogged up real easily. But a problem or a question that I have people ask me a lot when I show up to a house to talk about you've got a weird meter reading or a high bill. You tell them that we're seeing a leak. Well, there's nothing leaking in my house. Okay, fine. I'm not trying to argue with you about that. It's your house. You know it better than I do. But you have to consider when a water operator talks about a leak, all we mean is that we see movement in the meter. We see water going through that meter. And on your old mechanical meters, there'd be a little wheel, looks like a little star that turns, and that's called the leak indicator. And all that means is that even if the needle on the meter is not moving, if it's still, but that little wheel's turning, there's some movement. It may not be much, but there's some movement going through that meter. In fact, a lot of your old timers called that little wheel the tattletale, because it'll tell you there's something going on. But when we say there's a leak, honestly, and that's our fault. We should probably call it usage. there's high usage. But like if your kid comes home and turns on a water faucet and leaves the hose running in the backyard, that's a leak. That's what we see as a leak. There's water going through the meter. If you have a broken toilet valve and the toilet is always, you can hear water running through it and water's constantly just kind of burbling over into the sewer, that's a leak. It's not a leak as in you've got water all over your bathroom floor, but water is leaking out of the toilet into the sewer. And I have seen where if you live in a place that has sandy soil, you can have a hole in a pipe under your house and it never come to the surface. It's dry as a bone because it's going through that sand layer and not coming up to the surface. Water is going to find the path of least resistance, always. If it's easier for it to go up, then that's what it's going to do. Like if you have a good, thick, dense clay soil, it's easier for it to bubble up than it is to try and penetrate that dense clay. But if you have real sandy soil, it's easier to follow the sand layer than it is to come to the top. And I've seen people put a lot of water into the ground in a sandy area and never have a wet spot show up in the yard. You got to think about the layers of your yard. Most places, if you are on real sandy soil, they'll have brought in topsoil. Nice black loamy topsoil so that your grass can grow. Well, that soil may be thicker and more densely packed together, especially with grass roots, than the sand layer that's under it. So if the water's trying to move around and the sand layer lets it flow easy, and that thick loamy layer on top isn't as easy to penetrate, well, then it's never going to come up to the top. It's just going to follow the sand layer. So yeah, when we see water going through the meter, we consider that a leak, whether or not you actually have standing water in your yard. And I mean, I've done it myself. I've put, I can't remember what it was. It was something crazy, like 40,000 gallons, 50,000 gallons of water into my pond. And my house used that water. It's my bill to pay. You know, it's not the water department's fault that I had a busted pipe that was pouring water in the pond. So I paid that bill. You know. Anyway, that was on my mind today. If you guys have questions or you've got thoughts of something you'd like me to talk about, please drop me a comment, say something down below. And remember, if you click on subscribe and you click on the little bell icon and hit all, it will actually show you everything that I'm making. The algorithms seem to be more interested in showing you stuff that you're interested in. So even if you really like Barrett's water videos, but you have been watching a lot of silly cat videos lately, the algorithm's going to keep showing you silly cat videos. But if you click the little bell icon and a little pop-up comes up, you can click all, then that will tell the algorithm that whenever Barrett posts a water video, I want to see it. And so that will come into your feed. If you don't do that, then it's going to keep showing you your silly cat videos. Or like me, I really like the wood turning videos. I think it's super neat. And if I don't watch myself, I'll look up and the only thing in my feed is wood turning videos, because that's what I've been watching lately. It's somebody that I've subscribed to is not showing up because while I've subscribed to them, I didn't click all, and so it doesn't show up. So just something to think about. But anyway, I'll be posting another video in the next few days about another water or wastewater topic. And I hope to see you guys there. I love you. God bless, and I'll see you soon.